Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today. Today marks the second year that Public Media has partnered with the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival to present the forum. And it feels like we're really on to something, which is why I chose that music. CPB's conversations with Ken Jacobson began with a mutual understanding of the importance of regional stories, you got that? And a desire to bring opportunities to Southern filmmakers in their own backyard. And I can't think of a better place to do it than the longest running documentary festival in the country. So thank you, Ken. There are always thanks to make, so I'd like to thank Ken and his amazing team, Ashley York, Emily Cooper, and Paige Murphy, as well as my CPB colleague, Chris Higgins, and all the many public media organizations participating over the next 2 days. They have put together a fantastic program, and I can't wait to see what happens. Public media would not exist without a committed network of local stations, national organizations, and hardworking, dedicated individuals who wake up every day with only one thing in mind: service. Service to the system, service to makers, and service to the public. And I'm very honored today to introduce one of public media's lions and an exemplar of service, Chris Hastings. I've known Chris for many years, but panicked when I realized that my introduction should go a little bit deeper than what I know of him personally. So I asked Google for some help, which it did not do. The result that I got told me that Chris Hastings is the owner and executive chef of Hot and Hot Fish Club, a restaurant in Birmingham, Alabama, and was twice a finalist for the James Beard Award for Best Chef in the South. So, of course, Chris is a Renaissance man, so this could indeed be true. But what's easy to learn about Chris is that he began his journalism career at BET as part of the original team behind the award-winning news talk show, BET Tonight, which sparked his commitment to inclusive storytelling. After BET, he spent 20 years at GBH, where he took that commitment to new heights, starting with the iconic kids series Zoom, before moving to local public affairs, digital and interactive media, and finally World, where he served as executive director and editor-in-chief. At World, Chris never wavered on his quest to curate and support stories that speak to America and its kaleidoscopic glory, series such as America Reframed, Doc World, and Local USA. His work has earned numerous awards, including the Peabody Award, DuPont Columbia Award, and a News and Documentary Emmy. And I'm so very proud that his leadership is going to continue in the system as the newly minted general manager of WXXI in Rochester, New York. What you won't find in this impressive bio is his impact, empathy, and fierce dedication to the independent filmmaking community. He is an extraordinary champion, not just of projects, but of people. And because of this, he has opened the doors of public media to countless scores of filmmakers. And I asked a few what Chris meant to them, and this is what they had to say. Chris is someone who believes that public media is a place to present bold, independent films that tackle critical issues of our times with nuance, complexity, and artistry. Chris became an unwavering champion of our film at an early stage when others were afraid of it and had difficulty understanding its potential. His belief helped launch City of Trees with a public broadcast that brought this otherwise small, independent, local story to audiences nationwide. Lance Kramer. And from Leola Calzolai Stewart. We met Chris through Black Public Media. He was a mentor on another project, but took the time to let us know how much he loved the story we were trying to tell. He encouraged us, even when I wasn't sure the project would even get off the ground. I'll never forget the executive producer of American Experience saying that Chris vouched for us when she was interested in our pitch. I firmly believe this contributed to their being open to greenlighting a first-time director. We are forever grateful to Chris for that support. And I couldn't say it better. I've known Chris for many years in many roles across public media, and he's always been an incredible champion of anything that I have tried to do, including being here today. So without further ado, Chris Hastings.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good. Give me a second here. I didn't get no walk-up music. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. I am the show. So it's all good. I'm Chris Hastings, and I'm really happy to be here. If you haven't heard, but you just heard, I quit my job. And I'm okay with that. But let me tell you something. When I told my father I quit my job, he kind of freaked out because I didn't tell him the whole story. I didn't say, oh, it's going on to something else. It's like, why would you quit a good job like that? You got benefits. It's all good. I was like, Dad, it's good. I'm going to be running stuff now. And he got it. He got it. When Ken approached me a few months ago and asked if I'd give the keynote about my work at World, I said, sure, I love my job. I love what I do. I'm happy to share with filmmakers of Hot Springs about what I do. At the time, I wasn't 100% sure I was still going to be there. But I accepted the invitation anyway because I would have come no matter what. I came last year, and I can't tell you how impressed I was with the community. And so no matter what, I was coming. But I went back to Ken and I asked him, I was like, you sure you still want me to do this? Because, I'm shaking stuff up here. And he said, yes, because you have a story to tell. And then for those of you who know me, I love telling a story. And now that things have changed, I thought I would use this time to publicly state why I quit my job and why I'm moving on to Rochester, New York, to be the president and CEO of one of our public media stations. And forgive me, things changed a little bit. And I'm going to talk about partnerships too, but I think it's important that you hear my reasoning for why I'm moving on. First, let me be clear. Nothing was wrong at World and GBH. Thank you, and I want to say this publicly and I hope they see this. Are we recording this? I want to say to GBH, thank you for 21 years. It would have been 22 years in December, 21 years of allowing me to grow into the leader that I am today. Susan Goldberg and Liz Chang in particular really tried to get me to stay, but we had some really deep conversations, and they were really supportive of this decision of moving on to Rochester, New York. I also want to thank CPB, in particular you, Kathryn Washington, because as you said, we've known each other for many years in many different positions, but you've always been really supportive of me. And over the years, CPB as an organization have really supported my wild ideas and what we're trying to do at World. And so when I had to call Kathryn and tell her officially I was moving on, she already knew, because people talk, but it was a hard conversation because I knew how important her support has been of me, and I just want to thank you. But the reason for moving on, and let me just start. I've been at GBH 21 years. Nobody does that anymore. It's been an incredible journey. And GBH, WGBH, for those of you who understand the acronyms, we have a lot of letters for organizations. WGBH is one of the largest producers of content for PBS. For the last 13 years, I've been privileged of overseeing production, acquisition, and distribution of independent films on our World platform, and it's amazing. As I've said publicly before, and I'll say it again today, until last Friday, I had the coolest job in public media. My primary responsibility was watching documentaries from independent filmmakers from around the world and figuring out how best to present them on World and within the PBS system. Let me state that again. They paid me to watch TV. That's the coolest job ever, And I just, another significant part of my role was building partnerships with public media organizations and non-profits with similar missions like Firelight Media, ITVS, American Documentary, and all the orgs of the NMCA. And I can't tell you how proud I am of that part of my work. I can confidently say we got really good at building partnerships and working together to elevate voices of independent filmmakers telling stories from and about underrepresented communities. And I'm going to circle back to partnerships at the end of this. But in terms of the content, at World, since 2012, I've helped produce, distribute more than 500 films. And Kathryn talked about the awards. And the awards isn't why I'm into this. But through America Framed, Local USA, and Doc World, which I helped create, we've got to elevate the voices of filmmakers in ways that I didn't really expect. I think the awards were just sort of an extra sort of endorsement that we're making the right decisions. 2 Peabody Awards, a News and Documentary Emmy, a slew of nominations, but the awards that I think that I'm most deeply proud of are the ones that really elevated the idea of diversity. And some of them are small, some of them are big, but those endorsements really celebrated this country in ways that I think is really important. Needless to say, I love my time at GBH Boston. As a Black man who grew up outside of Philadelphia, dreaming of making films, I wanted to be the next Spike Lee. And I can honestly say I didn't become Spike Lee, but I made an impact in this job. So why move now, and why Rochester? So I want to talk a little bit about this community, and this is important. Rochester, New York is a small city in the Finger Lakes regions of upstate New York. It's 100 miles east of Buffalo, 100 miles west of Syracuse, New York, nestled right under Lake Ontario with Canada right across the water. It's a city that is roughly about 35% African American, 20% Latino, 50% Caucasian, and there are other demographics that are rising. While the city itself is quite urban, the greater Rochester region is increasingly rural and politically diverse. WXXI serves a culturally, economically, and socially diverse community. Like many cities, Rochester is still very much recovering from the pandemic, with a significant economic divide and a fractured education system. WXXI in public media in Rochester has a unique opportunity to fill a void. And the station's board, who I got to meet through the process, and the station that I've worked with over years at World Channel, when they approached me, they really were thinking differently about what public media can do in this community. And I can tell you, in my role at WGBH, I've been thinking a lot about how public media can work differently to support American citizens, especially in the context of this upcoming presidential election. And quite frankly, in the next year, we're going to be celebrating 250 years of America's democracy. And so I was already thinking differently about how our stations can work better within our communities. In the coming months and years, more people like myself will be looking closely at public media and asking, what are we doing, why are we doing it, and how are we doing it, particularly as commercial media continues to struggle. So I want to share a slide with you. Oh, we put the slide up already. So this slide, I've been using it for the better part of a year to explain a media system that's a bit in a tailspin and chasing itself, trying to grow audience and revenue. I personally predict, and this is my personal opinion, that in the months and years ahead, commercial media will remain in flux as they try to figure out how to sustain and grow an audience in the face of new technologies. already, and you all know this as independent filmmakers, most of you here are that, you understand that they've pulled back on commissioning content that we're producing, and that's been hard for a lot of people who produce content. Um, I think what's important, and then the other thing I want to add to this in the commercial media, the commercial news, nationally and locally, it's a bit in shambles. Um, as they try to figure out the new normal of how to produce in this environment, public trust for media continues to waver. Public media, though, we operate with a little different metrics for success. Our success is to serve local audiences and enrich their lives. Sure, we like revenue too, but our obligation to serve and elevate audiences is more crucial than ever before. It's not just about revenue and audience growth. I think this is an opportunity for me to show why we're so valued and trusted, and to demonstrate what sustainability looks like when we partner well. Going to Rochester during this time allows me to help tell public media's story, why it's important, why it's valuable, and needed now more than ever. I'm excited to connect with and serve a local community that needs strong media leadership, to focus our resources on issues that matter. As a CEO, I'll also have opportunity to advocate for public media, sharing its value with our nation's leaders and advocating for more resources to help citizens sustain and participate in our democracy. That's my stump speech. I think as we move forward, we're gonna need voices to advocate for what everybody is doing. And Rochester is a community that I think can be a beacon for all that we are doing in the country. And that's my vision with it anyway. And I'm excited that I get to lead an organization that wants me to do just what I just said it to you. So stay tuned. So let's get back to why Ken brought me here. I think ultimately we want to talk about partnerships. If I had time to redo this slide with all public media organizations, it would have far more logos on it. PBS stations alone number about 300 independently owned and operated organizations across the country, all working together on the shared mission to serve audiences. These institutions are beacons in their communities, like Rochester, valued and trusted. If this were a relay race, public media would be one team, and each station passing on to the next, all working together toward a common goal. In this room today, there are many organizations you'll hear from, and I'm incredibly proud, and I've had the privilege of working with many of them during my time at World. I remember 10 years ago when Rachel Rainey, yes, you brought Real South to us, to Aaron World. And during that time, we had just started American Frame, and I think Local USA. And so when you came to us with the idea to send us stories from the South, you gave me another idea that we needed to really pay attention to regional diversity. And I celebrate you for 10 years of success. And I know later today you're going to talk about that success and what you're going to do in the future, and I'm just super excited for you. I hope, as one of the lone representatives from Yankee Station in the North, that model collaboration with Southern stations will inspire us all to work together in new and innovative ways in other local communities around the country. So thank you for bringing us Real South. Public media wouldn't thrive without independent filmmakers like all of you, though. We wouldn't have Real South, America Stream, World Channel, Frontline without independent filmmakers and journalists from around the world contributing. You are the first leg of the relay race. Bringing essential stories to public media is your job in this race. And that's why, picking up on Ken's words, it's important about what you get into today, the meetings that you're going to have. You're here today to connect with, to collaborate, and to build something lasting. I want to applaud you for coming to Hot Springs, Arkansas, to be part of these conversations. This town may be small, but it's brimming with creativity. That's exactly what independent filmmakers bring to the table, stories that ripple outward, sparking change. Throughout my career, I've made it my mission to connect with creators from all walks of life, to amplify those stories that need to be heard. As I move into my new role in Rochester, I'm excited to continue this work to build new bridges for filmmakers across the North and across the country to help share more voices that reflect the diversity and resilience of our communities. Together, we can elevate these stories. In doing so, we'll make real difference. That's my stump speech. Yeah?